My name is Vivian Owens Taylor, and I'm a resident of D.C. Been here all of my life. I graduated from Ballou Senior High School in 2000. No, not 2000, Lord. 1999. I attended Howard University. Yes, I'm an AKA. Had to throw that out there. Recently, my family and I experienced a time of displacement where life just takes control, where you don't have control over things. Where we were living, my landlord had to re-inhabit his home, so which gave us 30 days to find a place to live, which was literally impossible. And we finally found a great place. We could not get into it because my husband had had an eviction from about 7 years ago. So we were literally at the end of the time. We had nowhere to go. We were connected with Ms. Dora Taylor, which connected us with Virginia Williams. Virginia Williams was able to connect us with MBI, where they were prepared to place us that same day, which was awesome. So I'm coming to you not as a resident who was placed into shelter, but a resident of DC who was able to stay out of shelter. It was awesome, every experience that I had from that entire day, all the way through working with MBI, to the point where now we are in a beautiful 5-bedroom home. It is gorgeous, and we are loving it. So I'd like to introduce to you our mayor, my mayor, Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Well, good morning, everybody. I am just delighted to be with you today, and we want to thank Mrs. Taylor for sharing her story. But more than anything, to let you know that residents just like Mrs. Taylor and her family deserve every opportunity to live and stay and thrive right here in Washington, D.C. And we should also remember that people, all 8 wards, all backgrounds and beliefs, have emergencies, have unexpected circumstances, and increasingly people in our city and in our nation are unable to translate all of their good work and experiences and savings to being able to deal with that emergency or unexpected circumstance. And what we have learned in our experience and what our teams at the Department of Human Services have focused on is how we can make sure that just with a little bit of help sometimes, we can prevent a family from entering our homeless services center. And Laura will tell you how we have been focused on that and have been able to do that over the course of the last 5 years. But we won't be able to make such a transition for every family, and we know that people will always have emergencies. That's why we have been very focused on our strategy to close DC General, which we were able to do, and open short-term family housing all across Washington, D.C. We closed DC General 2 years ago. You will remember it was difficult. Some people said we were moving too quickly. But since then, we opened shelters like this one in Ward 4, 5, 7, and 8, and now here in beautiful Ward 6. I want to thank our council members who you will hear from shortly. Your Councilmember Charles Allen. Please greet Charles. And the at-large council member for housing, Anita Bonds. Thank you, Councilmember Bonds, for being here. And I want to acknowledge all the members of the council who took up this work with us, and in what I think will be a model that we replicate in other aspects of our government. They endorsed in legislation our plan to close DC General and open short-term family housing. But more than that, they stood with us to make sure that these short-term family housing facilities would not only be dignified, have the types of services we need for our residents, but also fit into and enhance that they are joining. And that takes planning, it takes being intentional, but it also takes robust funding. So I'm grateful to all the members of the council for standing with us on this issue. We know that the things that we are doing, the things that we said would work, are showing very early signs of working. And that's also good. It turns out that if you put people in environments where they can steady themselves, get the services that they need, not be tucked away in a corner, but in hearts of vibrant neighborhoods where they're close to transportation, great schools, and job opportunities, they, in fact, actually do steady themselves and can go out into the world and get permanent housing. And that's what these short-term family housing facilities are all about. I told you about the ones that are open. Next up is Ward 3, I think very soon. And then after that, Ward 1. And then I got to tell you, after I walked through here again, I said, we did 7 or 8. Maybe we should do some more. And then make sure, because while we have tackled and are seeing great success with families and that population of people who are experiencing homelessness, there are other very vulnerable populations in our city that we are still focused on how to get to a solution. So with that, we're going to continue celebrating and get to a ribbon cutting, but I did want to ask our council members to join me. First, Council Member Charles Allen. And I want to thank Charles for all that he is doing to make Ward 6, which is a big and growing ward in our city, and support the diversity and the preservation of culture in Ward 6. We were just there yesterday, 2 days ago, making Go-Go the official music of Washington, D.C. And now we're here to talk about this beautiful Aya, right? Is it Aya? Aya. Charles Allen.
Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. It was a few years ago, and when our mayor made a decision to close DC General and to take a very different approach in how we try to help families that are experiencing homelessness, I gotta believe there were more than one people that advised against taking the decision that you did. It was a bold move, it was a strong move, and it was the right move. And Ms. Mayor, thank you. I think we are all incredibly proud of this, and I want to give our mayor a big round of applause for taking that step. Because a lot of people had talked about closing DC General, but only one person actually got it done. And it means a lot. And then I also want to really spend my time talking about the pathway to this day of this celebration. I am incredibly grateful for the leaders and the neighbors in Southwest. When given this opportunity, stepped up, leaned in, and really formed the type of partnership that really worked with our city to get this done. I will argue that Ward 6 is host to the best of our short-term family housing sites. But that would not have happened without the incredible resident leadership of folks like Bob Hall, a neighbor just a block away, who really has been involved in helping make this be what it is, and something that we're deeply proud of. It wouldn't have happened without leaders like Andy Litsky, like Anna Forgy, like Meredith Fawcett, Gail Fast, Ron Collins, our ANC commissioners from 6’, who have done a phenomenal job of helping shepherd this and provide the leadership in the neighborhood that we need. Because what we told our neighbors as we wrestled with this a little bit, and I remember, I don't know if Pastor Little is here, but we were across the street over at Friendship Baptist in the basement talking this through and answering questions. But what it really came down to is Southwest recognizing that families that are experiencing homelessness, they're not other. They are our neighbors. They are our families. And that when we do this and do this right, we are taking care of one another. And when you get a chance to walk through this facility, you're going to see something that is dignified, that is respectful, that is something we are incredibly proud of. I am so proud that this is going to be here in Southwest, but I'm incredibly proud of the people that helped make this happen, that makes it something we're so proud of. And there's one other element that I think sets us apart from all the other sites, and that is the return of the Unity Health Clinic that's going to be at this site. For a very long time, Unity Healthcare has been an anchor in Southwest. And for those of us that walked through that space, we knew that facility struggled just a little bit. But to be able to have a new space here is something that's not just going to be a benefit to the families that are going to call this a temporary home, but it's really for all of our Southwest neighbors to have the Unity Health Clinic here. I know we are excited and anxious to have Unity come back in, and I'm excited to have them do that. And when you get a chance to walk around the other side of the building, one of the things that'll jump out, and I hope you appreciate as much as I did, and this definitely goes to our architect and design team, they saved a section of the old building, and they put it right in the facade as you walk down the stairs. And it's a beautiful way to have a nod to the history of the site and of the former building, and really welcome it into its new space. And there's one other person from our city that I do want to make sure I acknowledge, and that's Jay Melder. Oftentimes, our employees within district government toil and don't get the recognition. But Jay Melder has had multiple roles, but years ago, when we started this process, was there working with us, answering questions, and has just been a true partner. And so, Jay, thank you for your leadership on behalf of the mayor and the whole team. I really appreciate it. So I'm deeply proud of what we've done. It would not have happened had we not had a mayor, though, who decided that it was time and that really laid out a vision for how we're going to do this in a way that respects and with dignity all of our families, to help stabilize them, to get them back on their feet. And this is something I'm just deeply proud of. So thank you all very much. I've got a great partner in Anita Bonds on the council, who I know is going to come up here as well, who's providing leadership with the Committee on Housing as we try to tackle housing issues across our entire city. So I don't know if I'm supposed to introduce Anita right now. Anita, come on up.
Well, everyone, can you hear me now? Everyone, I just really want to let you know how important this facility is to not just this community, of course, as it has been said, to the entire city. As you know, we are in this big bubble called our housing crisis period. And I consider our ward shelters a part of the housing affordability conundrum that we are working on. And so, welcome to everyone who will have the opportunity to live here. And certainly to the leadership of the ward, to the big Ward 6 family, to the family of DC government employees, and certainly to the mayor and to Laura and her team. This is a beautiful building. I can say that because I've been to all the other buildings. Now, Charles has a franchise today, okay, on beauty, but, you got to go see the Ward 8. The Ward 8 is like going into an apartment building with a grand open space. You want to see them all because they are for our people, the people of the District of Columbia, and we should be nothing but proud and eternally thankful that there was this vision. The mayor pushed it through. Some did not think it was possible. If you looked at those early designs, you said, how is that going to really look in that community? But it's all very beautiful, and we're all very thankful, and I know that you are too, right? Yes. All right, thanks so much.
And Anita is quite right that when we talk about housing, we are talking about a spectrum of activity, preventing homelessness, building short-term dignified family housing, investing in how we're dealing with singles, especially single men who are experiencing homelessness. And soon we will be in Ward 8 talking about how we're going to transform the men's shelter in Ward 8. But at the end of it, if we don't have affordable housing, the whole system crashes. the entire system crashes. And so that is why we are so focused on our Housing Production Trust Fund, on our housing authority properties, and on preserving the affordable housing that we have. And while we have done a lot by doubling our Housing Production Trust Fund investments each year for the last 5 years, we know that we can do more. So we're going to stay focused on that. I also wanted to add my thanks to all of the community members, ANC commissioners, the community members who chaired our advisory committees, which we had on each short-term family housing facility, my staff who staffed each of those meetings to make sure that we were listening to our communities. And I have to say that push and pull, and it happens in every project, makes projects better. So give a big hand to the Ward 6 community. And I want to introduce for a second Laura Zeilinger. And I got to tell you, Laura is an amazing leader in government. And she has convinced me to do some things I didn't think I would do. And she told me they would work. And so far, they have. And so the lesson there is listen to Laura. And I'd like to introduce her now, Laura Zeilinger.
Welcome to the AYA. So happy to have you here, and again, want to just echo the thanks for everyone who made this possible. This is absolutely a beautiful building, and I love what it says about us as a community. It says that we want to keep our neighbors here. We know that everybody falls on hard times, and everybody is worthy. And in our worst moments, we should walk into a place that says, you are loved, you are cared about, and we see your humanity, and you are safe. And as you walk through the space and you view the colors and the art and the sunlight and the thought that was put into the design around safety, you will feel that. And it is fantastic architects in the Department of General Services who really took all of these requirements, and we had a lot of requirements, and made those alive in this building. And it just feels so good. We are so thrilled that we will have Core DC providing services as our on-site service provider here. They are tried and true as they are working with us in the Horizon. And at the Horizon and our other sites, we are seeing that families are able to come in, feel safe, and transition in an average of 90 days back into permanent housing. Sometimes faster, sometimes a little longer, but we have not only the environment, but the service model that allows people to really quickly make those connections back to community, which then allows us to serve that next family, so that when a family is in crisis, if we aren't able to prevent their homelessness, they do have a place to go tonight. And so we heard Vivian share her story. And I also want to express gratitude on behalf of all of us, that not all of us have to get up in front of people and talk about our most difficult days. And doing so is really a gift to help people understand, and that those are the kinds of things that can happen to all of us. But our DC values and our community is one that says that when that happens, we want to make sure we have the right supports in place, and we are willing to make the investments in our residents. I was at a budget forum last night, and there's another one if those of you who want to weigh in on the budget. But I will tell you, I heard in every single table the sentiments that people care about their neighbors. They want to see a government invest resources to care for their neighbors. And that especially, we don't feel that everywhere in this country. And so I'm just so grateful to all of us, because we did this together. It is the values, the strong message, the advocacy, and the supports of our entire community. The last thing I just want to say is I want to acknowledge the team at the Department of Human Services, that systems reform that you heard about, to make sure that we have the right prevention supports in place, that people have a place to go when they need it, that families are supported to exit more quickly, and that all of that is there, and that it was not always like that. And we are working every day to improve the experience for the residents we serve. We serve 300,000 district residents at DHS, and sometimes in their very most vulnerable moments. And it is a team who relentlessly is working hard to make sure that we are serving our neighbors in the way that we intend. So I just want to acknowledge the very tireless work of my entire team. And thank you again for coming to celebrate this milestone with us.
And our last speaker, you've already heard mentioned, is Jay Melder. And I think when we started this process, Jay was on Laura's team at DHS. He has since become the assistant city administrator responsible for some internal services in the government, including DGS. I said a lot, but that means DGS is the government's construction arm, its real estate arm, and it's responsible for schools, parks and recreation facilities, office buildings, leasing, and spaces like this one. And DGS played a very significant role in short-term family housing. We asked them to do some stuff that they've never done, represent the government, me, in front of the zoning administration, do concept drawings before we had hired an architect, go explain to communities that the concept drawings, they're just concepts, they're changeable. We asked them to go find some space, and also make sure we did all of that before anybody could say, no, not in my backyard. And all of that was done with professionalism, but also with urgency. They also have the responsibility of repurposing, demolishing DC General, because that is not suitable for families in our city. So with that, I want to introduce Jay.
Thank you, Mayor, and I completely relate to the adage of listen to Laura. I did it for a long time, and I still do. I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm honored to be able to represent two really important and related groups that made this project happen. The mayor mentioned DGS, which I'll talk about in a minute, and first it's the Community Advisory Team, the Ward 6 Short-Term Family Housing Community Advisory Team. Mayor, this community team, as you know, is fantastic, generous, smart, relentless. I know I co-chaired with it with Andy Litsky for 3 years. They took your vision that short-term family housing could be woven seamlessly into the fabric of community and ran with it, ensuring that the AYA would not only integrate with Southwest, but be a proud community landmark, not only for its stunning design, but for its just purpose. And I just want to give the advisory team a round of applause. And to thank specifically a few members who just poured a lot of their time and passion and expertise into the project, including Andy Litsky, who was fantastic and couldn't be here today. He sent me an email this morning. He's in Africa, and he says, go team. Robin Walker and Andrina Walker from Greenleaf Gardens Extension across the street. What such wonderful, hey, fantastic. Bob Hall, you heard mentioned already. Bob was fantastic from Capitol Park 4 Condominiums. Ian Callender from the Blind Wino just down the street. Ian, you've been fantastic. Lucy Roginski from Amadon Bowen PTA, Caitlin Mahoney, the team at the Randall School Project next door, all of our former and current ANC 6D commissioners who serve this project, including Chair Gail Fast, Meredith Fassett, Annie Forgy, Councilmember Allen, of course, and your team, Naomi Mitchell, who did not miss a meeting, didn't miss a tour, replied to all of the threads. I want to thank her especially. Also on the advisory team, the amazing Ward 6 Mokers, Tyler and Michaelia from the mayor's team, fantastic. Jessica Smith and Jenna Sabasco from the Health and Human Services team, just amazing. And of course, the Department of General Services, which brings me to the second group that I'm really honored to be representing today. As the mayor said, DGS is our construction agency. They're responsible for building, maintaining, and sustaining more than 840 district properties in all 8 wards. Thanks to their expertise, their grit, the leadership, DC boasts some of the most beautiful and sustainable government facilities anywhere, the AYA being a shining example of that. I want to thank DGS Director Keith Anderson, who's fantastic. He's so sad he couldn't be here today. His entire team, including the head of the Capitol Construction, Mr. Paul Blackman Jr., who's here. Thank you, Paul. I want to acknowledge and give thanks to the members of the DGS project team who work day in and day out to get this facility built. Blue Sky Construction, who's our general contractor on this site. Sturdy Walls, John Burke and Jacob Merzal from Leo Daily Studio 27, the architects of this beautiful space. Thank you, John and Jacob. DGS project managers, I spent a lot of time on the phone with Jeff Licklater, Daryl Hardy, and Chris Wright. You guys are fantastic. Thanks for all the hard work. And DGS isn't just about buildings. DGS is committed to providing opportunities to district residents and CBE contractors, and I'm proud to report that 85% of all the work completed on this project was performed by CBE contractors, including our general contractor and our architects. And also proud to announce that 40 DC residents worked on this project, Mayor. I also want to give a shout out to the art that's in this building. It's part of DGS's Percent for Art program, where we take 1% of the total construction cost and we use it to commission original works of art that make this place pop, stand out, and add to the dignity and warmth that this place is going to provide. I really also want to thank Tina Lassiter, as you saw her beautiful daffodil that welcomes everyone into the building. That's one of about 50 pieces of original art throughout the building, so take a look at that. Thank you all. Thank you, DGS. Thank you, advisory team, and I'll hand it back over to Mayor Bowser. I think we have a ribbon to cut. Thank you.
Well, that's a win-win. Great buildings, DC residents working, DC local businesses working, and residents getting a fresh start. So let's cut the ribbon of the aisle.
There? Excuse me, man. Excuse me. You good, Austin? Yeah. Miss in the front. Miss.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
Miss.
Yeah.